do have some breaking news to update you on over that resolution to remove the state mental health commissioner. So the Senate just voted 43-1 to approve it.
Oklahoma's Department of Mental Health is facing a fourth investigation into how it's spending its money. The agency's current commissioner says it needs millions to make it to the end of the current fiscal year. Our Matt McCabe live in our newsroom to share the reaction from other state leaders. Matt.
Carl, the agency is asking for $6 million more to get through the current fiscal year, which ends on June 30th. The new ask is clouded by allegations of prior financial mismanagement. There's a rising chorus at Oklahoma's state capitol, sorting through the noise surrounding the State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
As soon as she requested it, we asked the auditor to dig in, and I'm sure Cindy Bird will do a great job of really digging in and looking.
The series of escalations began in a March letter from the agency's commissioner, Allie Friesen, to Governor Stitt. In that letter, she wrote in part, "My staff has uncovered serious concerns regarding the allocation of state-appropriated funds within the behavioral health program of the state Medicaid program." Then concerns shot up as the department tried to balance its problem with changes to its contracts with providers.
We have grown the mental health budget. There's about $800 million that we spend in mental health every single year. We're going to spend the same amount this year. I don't think the legislature is going to cut mental health.
I think a public hearing is necessary, so there's no he said, she said of what was said, and frankly, not just for the legislature, but not just because the press is in the room, but I think it's important to have press there asking questions about where the money is being spent and where it's going.
Lawmakers are set for a 1:30 hearing on Thursday, an important conversation as they consider the interim request for $6 million more. I reached out to the two Oklahoma City representatives on that special committee, one a Democrat and the other a Republican. Democrat Ellen Hefner responded saying her focus will be protecting tax dollars and mental health services. Carl?
All right, Matt, thanks. And the spokesperson for the Department of Mental Health did not respond to our questions, but the agency has previously said that it will work with state auditors and the governor's own independent investigation.
Lawmakers faced Oklahoma's head of mental health during the first hearing in a special investigation today. That department has been the focus of scrutiny in recent weeks over its spending. News 9's Matt McCabe is live at the state capitol with the new details coming out of the public testimony. Matt?
Good evening, Amanda. A bipartisan group of state representatives publicly pressed for answers today to the outstanding questions about how the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services got into its current financial situation. It comes during a busy time as state lawmakers are preparing to finalize next year's budget. On the fourth floor of Oklahoma's Capitol building.
Those of you who have come, thank you for being here.
There's a full room.
I would expect us to be here for a little bit today.
And inside, people full of curiosity.
That is not what this administration inherited.
Commissioner Allie Friesen has led the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services since early 2024.
What I am seeing is that we still have a budget gap of $43 million, yet we have a request for $6.2 million. And to me, 6.2 is not 43 million. So can you justify that difference, please?
Friesen faced questions about a changing storyline as the department has created and rolled back policies on contracts with providers.
However, upon hearing very clearly from the community that they need these payments in order to continue operations, we pivoted as quickly as humanly possible.
Lawmakers could not get answers to all their questions.
I can't respond to that specific question given multiple pending ongoing investigations.
Friesen said during multiple periods, she took responsibility for the current crisis.
Have made mistakes, and I am trying to confidently acknowledge and take accountability and ownership for those mistakes and fix them as quickly as possible.
But she also dug heavily into the agency's previous leadership, blaming them for the current issues. And the Select Committee is set to meet again. They only heard from 4 people who testified today. That also means that state capitol leaders are still a far way out from fully understanding the scope of exactly how much they will need to appropriate to the agency moving forward. Reporting live in Oklahoma City, Matt McCabe, Oklahoma's Own News 9.
Sounds like it's just the beginning, Matt. Thank you. The House's investigation is also running separately from an investigation from the state auditor, governor, and Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency. Friesen told lawmakers the agency's inspector general is also conducting an investigation.
The department now says they can cover basic payroll starting next Wednesday, and they will need an extra $23 million before the end of June. Our Capitol reporter Haley Hetrick has reaction from state lawmakers. Haley?
Well, the common feeling from Republicans in both chambers is frustration. They say they're not getting answers to the questions they've been asking for months now about these budget shortfalls. The House Speaker saying in a statement they have no faith in the current fiscal position of the department.
And here we are, and it's May 1st. So if I sound like I'm frustrated, it's because I am.
There's 4 different investigations into the department, along with ongoing meetings between the mental health commissioner and leaders at the Capitol. But last night was the first time the Speaker and Pro Tem were notified by Commissioner Allie Friesen that they couldn't meet payroll needs and would need $23 million by the end of FY25. That ends June 30th. We obtained emails that were sent from leadership, which says an emergency vote will likely be necessary to bridge the gap in funding next week. That money would have to come from the state savings account or be pulled from another part of the budget. Lawmakers also still haven't received the department's budget request for 2026 that was supposed to be given months ago. Leaders call the situation infuriating and unacceptable.
Do they need an extra $30 million over their original ask, or they need $100 million over their original ask, or are they fine to stay flat from the original ask? We don't know. I'd like to try to hide the fact that I'm frustrated, but I'm frustrated.
Commissioner Friesen said in a statement, the department continues to navigate difficult but necessary period of operational and fiscal reform. The House has asked the commissioner to meet Monday morning to answer questions under oath. Meanwhile, Governor Stitt within the last hour laid out 3 directives to stabilize the department. We'll have more on those tonight at 10. Bobby?
Haley, thank you. Attorney General Gentner Drummond is calling for the governor to terminate Commissioner Friesen, saying the financial shortfalls is nothing short of government malpractice. New developments tonight following budget concerns at the State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. The agency says it will be able to pay its employees as scheduled. Now it comes after a letter to House Speaker Kyle Hilbert Thursday night warning the department would run out of funds before payday. We've been following the investigation into the department's funding, which revealed a $23 million shortfall. Now, state lawmakers have launched 4 investigations into where that money has gone. In the meantime, the agency says it will be making payroll next Wednesday. In a statement, ODMHSAS did not give a reason for the last-minute change, but says it continues to partner with legislative and executive partners to ensure no disruption to services or operations. Going on to say, quote, our leadership team remains boldly focused on righting the wrongs within a system that has desperately required reform for decades. House leaders have asked the department's Commissioner Allie Friesen to answer questions under oath on Monday. We'll be following.
At the state capitol, frustration is mounting and confidence is dwindling in the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Lawmakers still have no answers surrounding a $23 million shortfall from the department. Our Capitol reporter Haley Hetrick tells us where things stand after today's hearing into the department's finances.
It's the same story we've been hearing for weeks now. The numbers and information from the department continue to change, with a ticking clock for lawmakers to finalize the budget.
I'm frustrated.
That is concerning.
The buzzwords of the day:
I certainly do share your frustration.
frustration and concern.
We are also extremely concerned about our current financial situation.
The question remaining:
Just how bad is this and how did it get here?
For the first time in a very long time, uncovering the full depth of financial instability that has been hidden under layers of dysfunction.
Commissioner Allie Friesen now asking the legislature for help, looking at the numbers and giving the department money.
It's not the legislature's job to do that. It's the legislature's job to appropriate dollars, but it's not the legislature's job to figure out agency budgets.
This next payroll coming up on Wednesday is we can make that, but the agency is not able to do one after that.
It's looking like they'll need $23 million just to get through the end of June.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of taxpayer money.
But there's lingering concerns about that figure, even from the department.
I have zero confidence that our finance team is able to tell me whether or not there are funds to be able to make payroll.
After going around in circles, legislators cut off the meeting, leaving with the same frustration and concerns they walked in with.
I don't think we're getting to any significant number, and we've been doing this for months and months and months.
Planning to cover the payroll problems for now and continue working to get answers.
What we will do is make sure that the legislature will provide funding to make sure that employees are paid. And then after that, we'll continue to work with them to try to figure out what they actually need.
For Oklahoma Zone, I'm Haley Hetrick.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General renewed his call for the governor to remove the Commissioner Friesen, from her position, saying she's not equipped for the job.
The governor has now appointed a special high-profile attorney to start an independent investigation into the department's management of money. The governor says former U.S. Attorney Robert McCampbell will look into any potential waste, mismanagement, or fraud, which the governor says was uncovered by the commissioner of the agency, Allie Friesen. The governor says, quote, Robert and his team will leave no stone unturned because the people of Oklahoma deserve to know exactly what went wrong and who is responsible.
Oklahoma has scrapped its plans to build a new $150 million state mental health hospital.
It is another casualty for the financially struggling State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Matt McCabe joins us here in studio to explain the changes and also the impact on the overall mental health services that's being offered in our state.
Carl and Amanda, this project was designed to be a crown jewel for Oklahoma's next era of mental health services, but lawmakers say a series of design flaws, inflation, and budget shortfalls have led them back to the beginning. Last year, state leaders celebrated a big idea and a ceremonial groundbreaking, but the $150 million Donahue Behavioral Health Hospital won't grow beyond its miniature model.
Unfortunately, I'm not surprised by the news that the hospital is not going to be moving forward as originally planned.
Representative Jared Deck represents the area of Norman, home to the state's current facility, Griffin Memorial Hospital. State leaders say their focus is now on renovating a building in central Oklahoma City, scaling down their original dreams.
Well, to me, the idea of having to renovate an existing facility actually just shows a failure of our state government over multiple decades. You know, the Griffin Memorial Hospital campus in central Norman has long needed to be remediated and renovated.
Representative Emily Guys represents where the Donahue Hospital was supposed to be built on the OSU OKC campus. She said in a statement in part, quote, while it's disappointing that the Donahue Behavioral Health campus will not move forward as originally planned due to significant cost overruns and design flaws, I'm encouraged by the state's commitment to finding a smarter, more sustainable solution. State lawmakers expect a renovated facility will still have more beds than Griffin Memorial. The new renovation project has been awarded $66.5 million from the state legislature's ARPA funds. Amanda?
All right, Matt, and the city of Oklahoma City originally promised $1 million to the new hospital. A spokesperson says they're not yet sure if the new project still qualifies for city funding. Reviewing finances at the State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse.
He picked an independent expert for the audit after the agency said it was missing millions to make payroll. Our Matt McCabe live at the Capitol to show us the results, also get reaction from lawmakers on this.
Amanda and Carl, this is one of the several reports expected to come out of the department's financial crisis. State leaders now have a list of ideas to act on to hopefully get out of the hole. For several weeks, Oklahoma's Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse has been the shadow that stretches across every part of the state's capital. Questions flew in from lawmakers at historic speeds, asking how much money does the agency need and how did it get here? A report from an accountant tapped by the governor says there's 52 areas the agency can do better, including hiring a CFO and internal auditor with deep public sector background, and using OMES-approved accounting systems, relying on advanced analytics, and training for ethical conduct and accountability, and also developing a real-time dashboard and public reporting for transparency. House Majority Floor Leader Mark Lawson, also the chair of the Select Committee to Review Mental Health Finances, reacted to the report, saying in a statement, quote, "This report represents not just a diagnosis, but a turning point. If we are serious about protecting taxpayer dollars and serving our most vulnerable citizens with dignity and efficiency, we cannot stop here. I look forward to reviewing the recommendations in detail as we work to restore integrity, accountability, and excellence in a system that touches the lives of thousands of Oklahomans every day," end quote. The latest report will not be the last. In a news release, Governor Stitt called the report a new beginning for the department. Right now, he says he continues to trust in the department's current commissioner despite the struggles. Reporting live in Oklahoma City, Matt McCabe, Oklahoma Zone, News 9.
Concerning news, the state auditor says the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse is short $28 million. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Amanda Taylor.
And I'm Carl Torp. This is the second audit to come out this week, digging into the agency's troubled finances. News 9's Jordan Fremstead spoke with the state auditor, who says questionable spending, also human error, are to blame for this shortfall.
Yeah, that's right, guys. This is a big problem for Oklahoma. Byrd says this is not the final report, but she did find some glaring financial and systemic issues within the department. She also said the urgency of this problem forced her office to delay other important audits.
Questions linger in the air about taxpayers' money, because the State Department of Mental Health will need about $28 million to get through the fiscal year.
It's a lot of taxpayer money.
This agency was not communicating well with legislators about the true needs of the agency.
We are going to have to drill down these numbers.
And I've heard some say that money's missing.
State Auditor Cindy Byrd found some answers.
There's no money missing.
Governor Kevin Stitt asked Byrd to look at the financial management of the department to help lawmakers
in order to properly craft next year's budget.
The agency's commissioner, Allie Friesen,
I certainly do share your frustration,
told lawmakers this month her agency wouldn't make payroll.
She simply does not understand her role.
Attorney General Gentner Drummond has called for Governor Stitt to fire Friesen.
It's time to find solutions, not excuses.
Friesen has blamed past leadership for the budget confusion.
Financial instability that has been hidden under layers of dysfunction.
It is the result of multiple administrations.
However, Byrd found questionable spending took place during Friesen's time as commissioner.
We saw a big spike in payroll services.
Byrd says reports show last year alone, 38 people were hired with salaries of at least $100,000. There were 376 pay raises greater than 10% with an annual value of more than $4 million.
Is that typical to see 10% raises and people making six figures in a lot of administrative positions within an agency?
That's not typical. We feel like those positions need to be analyzed to see if they're necessary for the mission of the agency.
Byrd says the agency needs experience.
Hire a qualified CFO,
a chief financial officer
who has experience with Medicaid billing and understands governmental accounting,
someone who prevents mistakes,
making sure they're steering them in the right direction.
An expert who can avoid a budget column filled with question marks.
The taxpayers need answers about why an agency had a shortfall of close to $30 million.
Now, Bird says her team is working on part 2 of this report, but she didn't have a timeline on when that will be finished. That will reveal who is to blame for this financial shortfall. Carl?
A big shortfall, no doubt. Jordan, thank you. In a statement, the Department of Mental Health says it has created a table of diverse experts to end years of corruption. A spokesperson also says the audit is being reviewed and the agency looks forward to additional contributions from third-party investigators. The moving and shaking going on at the state capitol, where lawmakers are now trying to remove the state mental health commissioner from her position.
Now, the Senate had been stalled for several hours on a veto override vote, so they are just now taking up that measure. The call to remove the commissioner comes amid a financial crisis at the State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse. We have been covering multiple audits launched into the department. Governor Stitt appointed Friesen in January of last year.
Our Matt McCabe live at the Capitol with more on the resolution for removal. Also has the governor's response to all this. Matt.
Good evening, Amanda and Carl. This has been a big, long day for state lawmakers. The Senate is still currently meeting in its chambers behind me right now. They're currently debating SCR 12, which was filed late in the day today on what was supposed to be the final day of the legislative session in an effort to remove the commissioner of the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Commissioner Allie Friesen has faced more scrutiny as her department has faced a financial crisis. Last month, she asked state lawmakers for an additional $6.2 million to make it through the current fiscal year ending in 1 month. That number ballooned and swung wildly. Last week, an independent accountant hired by Stitt found the department needed $30 million to make it through the end of the year. Lawmakers have approved that emergency funding but remain skeptical of Friesen's leadership. Governor Stitt responded in force to this resolution, saying in part, quote, "From the start, this was nothing more than a politically motivated witch hunt. I tasked Allie Friesen with bringing accountability and transparency to the agency. An agency rife with sweetheart deals and criminal elements was disrupted, and now elected officials are quickly working to set the apple cart right for those who seek to get rich off of Oklahoma taxpayers." Attorney General Gentner Drummond, who is also running for governor, issued his own statement. He's been a frequent critic of Friesen, and he gave credit to lawmakers for filing this resolution. They are still debating it, and it's not yet gone up for a vote. And if it does pass through the Senate, it still has to go through the House. For now, reporting live at the state capitol, Matt McCabe, Oklahoma's Own News 9.
You have some breaking news to update you on over that resolution to remove the state mental health commissioner. So the Senate just voted 43-1 to approve it.